Hi, church. Um, I wanted to send this message out to all of you as a little bit of a state of the church message. So it's been a year since we had to first pause our in-person services because of the COVID pandemic. And I know that I and many of you really miss those in-person gatherings. We have really missed seeing the kids run around and singing worship songs and hymns with a room full of people singing at the top of their lungs, and the lunches afterwards, and listening to a sermon in person, and all the conversations and catching up that happens as you're cleaning up afterwards or getting a cup of coffee from the counter beforehand. We have missed those, and it's been a hard year. It's been a hard year, obviously, for our church with the things that we've felt the lack of, but really, it's been a hard year all around the world. Of course, there's been the COVID pandemic, which has cost the lives of many, many hundreds of thousands of people. And there have been all the disruptions that have been caused by the different precautions and protocols that had to be put into place. I know many of you have missed weddings and funerals and graduations and family events and had to change everything about your jobs. And we know people, of course, in this county and elsewhere who have lost their jobs, or their businesses have really been hurt, and their livelihoods have been disrupted because of the pandemic and everything that flows from that. And it's been a hard year personally too. As you all know, in the past 12 months, Mel and Pete and I have, all three of us, lost our fathers. And that's been incredibly hard, and we're carrying that grief. It's been a hard year for a lot of you, but that's actually not what most of my message is about. I wanted to say that as I've been reflecting upon the past 12 months, I have seen how God has been incredibly faithful to us. And so I wrote down just a few of the ways that God has been doing amazing things in and through this church in the past 12 months. Through individuals and through church funds and different private donations, we as a church have been able to donate thousands and thousands of dollars worth of financial help and food and clothes and Christmas gifts and all kinds of aid to people who are hungry or experiencing homelessness or poverty in this county and in neighboring counties in Williamsburg and beyond. This little church, and we're not that big of a church, has had a disproportionate impact in terms of our size. A social worker recently shared with us that we have been crucial to keeping some of the food distributions going at times when their pantry was bare and they didn't think that they were going to have enough to give away. Peace Hill really came through. I really believe that in this, we are fulfilling the words of Isaiah 58, 10 and 11. This is what the prophet says to God's people. He says, "If you spend yourselves on behalf of the hungry and satisfy the needs of the oppressed, then your light will rise in the darkness, and your night will become like the noonday. The Lord will guide you always. He will satisfy your needs in a sun-scorched land. He will strengthen you, and you will be like a well-watered garden, like a spring whose waters never fail." I've seen that happen through the generosity of this church and individuals in this church over the past 12 months. Another thing that's happened is that we've been able to rejoice about some weddings. Some of our alumni were able to get married, even though their weddings in some cases had to be delayed or changed or greatly shrunk, and they didn't look like maybe what those people had expected, but they happened and they were full of joy and celebration. Most of you know that Nick and Hannah Van Balen got married near the very beginning of the shutdown, and then later on in 2020, Kayla Lachlan and Jesse Fowler Marquez got married, and we were able to watch both of those from afar and rejoice with them. Also, there's been all kinds of personal milestones. People did amazing work under really hard conditions. Peter Bauer finished a Doctor of Ministry degree. Mel Moore finished a Master's of Business. Other people finished different degrees and graduated and went to school or taught or had to turn their houses into offices, and they did it. Despite having no experience with video tech, we figured out ways to broadcast our services on video and on audio. And we were actually able through that to reconnect with a whole lot of people who now live far away but benefited from the sermons and the songs and the prayers and the church services that we put online. We held 12 in-person outdoor services, a live streamed Ash Wednesday service, and 45 recorded video services. I give a lot of the credit to that for the musicians who came and showed up and recorded and experimented with things and figured out how to make it work, to Susan, who planned most of those worship services, and to our audio-visual techs, Mel and Matt, and our substitute helper audio-visual techs, Shelby and Jackson. In addition to that, all of you have shown me ways that you've been continuing to pray, to make time to think about God, to worship, to read and study Scripture, and to try to put it into practice in your daily life. And then all of you have been showing the fruit of the Spirit. We preached about the fruit of the Spirit this past summer, and the love, the joy, the peace, the kindness, the generosity. I have seen all of that through the people of this church in some ways more vividly than I would have gotten a chance to if we'd all been in person. You all really showed up for members of the community who were hurting, like when Gwen had her surgery and wasn't able to leave the house for a long time, and of course when my dad was sick for a long time and he was in the hospital, and then when we were caring for him at home, and then after he died, so many of you brought meals or sent cards or texts or emails or calls. You came and picked up our trash. You took things to the dump for us. You encouraged us. You did all kinds of practical things and personal things for us. The Apostle Paul says in his letter to the Galatians, "Carry each other's burdens. This is how we follow the law of Christ. I have seen you all carry my burdens and so many other people's burdens at many, many times over the past 12 months. Now, looking forward, as we mentioned in an email last week, we are going to have an in-person Easter service, and we'll be sending out more details and directions about that on Easter Sunday. I really look forward to seeing you all. Easter's always been my favorite holy day in the church calendar, and I can't wait to celebrate it in person. And we are in the process of setting up in-person services for the Sundays going forward after Easter. They will be held in person for a limited number of people, and then once we hit the attendance cap, we will live stream it, of course, to everybody who can't be there. We're also going to record the Easter service for anybody who can't be there in person, and we will put it on video just as we've been doing with all the other services. We'll be sharing more details on those soon. It has been a hard year in many ways, and there's no denying that. But despite it all, I am in awe of what God has done in and through all of you. And I am hopeful and even excited for the future of this church, the future of what God is going to do in this community and through this community. May God bless you all.